Hey all, and Merry Christmas! It should be Boxing Day in the UK when this MovieCom goes up. It's essentially a holiday celebrated in the UK and parts of Europe, I believe, where we just beat the shit out of each other for eating too much turkey the previous day. Oh, what a wonderful tradition. Basically, it's the day I eat cold cuts a lot. But I've got Richie with me here, and we're going to be watching one of our favourite Christmas movies, Klaus, from 2019. Oh, it's a gun, isn't it, Rich?
Oh, without a doubt.
Ah, wonderful. You guys know how this MovieCom and TVCom business goes. If you don't, check the video description. There's loads of instructions there and information to help you sync our commentary to your copy of the movie, which obviously we can't provide for copyright reasons. And also, Santa will just beat us with coal until we're dead in the ground. Alright, here we go. Klaus in 3, 2, 1. And we're off. It is, of course, a Netflix original, just in case you didn't know that.
Yes, and actually, this did a lot of firsts, because it was actually, I think, the first original animated film to be released by Netflix. It was the first Netflix feature... Well, definitely the first animated film from Netflix to be nominated for an Academy Award, as well as being the first from any streaming service.
Wow.
And it did go on to win lots of awards. I do contend that it should have won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature that year. It lost to Toy Story 4.
Boo.
But I know, but it did win a lot of other awards, and entirely well deserved, because honestly, this was such a surprise for me. Like, I was intrigued when I saw the trailers, because just like, this is like a really cool art style, and it seems like a nice enough story, but I just thought, well, we'll see, we'll test it out. And actually it came out being just a thoroughly excellent film.
For sure.
With a stunning art style, because this is, what's really clever about this is that it's all 2D animation, but the 3D look and feel of it comes from just really clever work on the lighting. Obviously there are some 3D elements, but it's primarily a lighting thing, and it's beautiful.
It's very striking, yeah. This fucker again.
And also, to be honest, it's got a really good voice cast as well.
It does. Shall we start with our protag here?
Yes, so our protagonist, who is not actually called Klaus, you might think he is, but no, this is Jesper, and he is voiced by Jason Schwartzman.
You would be forgiven for thinking he was voiced by David Spade, because his voice acting and his mannerisms, and hell, even his character arc, is very nearly one-to-one with Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove, but no, it is Jason.
And you will probably recognise Jason Schwartzman, if you're on the sort of geek side of the world as we are, as Gideon Graves in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Ah, there we go.
And he was also Richard Sherman in Saving Mr. Banks.
Still haven't seen that.
Yeah, that is a thoroughly delightful film.
Well, you know, you can't separate Richie from Mary Poppins, I'm afraid. It's just not done. So this whole thing about Jesper being, like, the heir to the post office empire, I guess. The whole post office system has always been fascinating to me. You know, letters in, letters out, Postman Pat and his black and white cat, and all that. And we're recording this at a very apt time, because there's a bit of a postal strike going on in the UK, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of striking going on in the UK at present, because, you know, people aren't getting paid enough. And also there's a whole working conditions stuff as well, and it's all a disaster. But obviously this looks more at the just the ethics of delivery and what it can do for the people who receive things.
He's heard a lot of these speeches before, I think, as Jasper.
I suspect so, and actually sort of, you look at Jasper and you kind of go, oh my god, guy is such a dick. But somehow he manages to be a likeable dick for the start of the film.
Yeah.
And then there is obviously character growth. And it's exactly the character growth that there was nothing that I would say about Klaus that is unexpected.
No.
But it doesn't need to be, because it is just a thoroughly lovely, cozy, cuddly Christmas film with some dark bits of humour in there.
This is Sam McMurray as the Postmaster General. He's Jesper's father, headmaster of the Royal Post Academy, and he's giving Jesper a bit of tough love here, and I think that's what goes to making Jesper kind of endearing, despite him being a spoiled brat, because this is, like, so far beyond him. You're like, oh my god, calm it down a bit, dial it back.
There's no real bad guy to deal with, because Jesper's father is obviously quite hard and quite tough, and Jesper's obviously turned into this kind of brat as a result of that, because he has been both incredibly spoiled, but also allowed to sort of get away with everything and also nothing.
Yeah.
And this is just sort of the turning point where it's just like, you know what? You need some tough love.
You need life experience, Jasper, that's the problem. Like, the lighting right here makes it look like a 3D model, but it's not.
I know, it's incredible. I mean, I think I remember when I first saw it, the thing that it immediately reminded me of was the art style for the Disney short Paperman.
Ah, yeah.
Which makes sense, because it is going for that whole 2D, 3D thing, but Paperman is the flip side of this. This is 2D with work done to make it look 3D. Paperman was a 3D short with stuff done to make it look 2D.
Right.
So obviously completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But there is a lot of Disney in Klaus, because actually Sergio Pavlos, who directed it, worked in the Disney Renaissance.
Hey,
so he was involved in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, and Tarzan.
3 pretty good films.
Without a doubt. And also, fellow Disney animator James Baxter, who was part of Beauty and the Beast, also worked on the film. And it's just really cool to see a unique animation style, because this actually sort of came at the time when animation films were starting to develop more of a personality again.
Yeah.
Because I think we'd spent a very long time in basically only seeing classic Disney and Pixar 3D animation, and the really cheap knockoff versions of that style of animation.
Just before we continue, this character here is voiced by Norm Macdonald, classic comedian, sadly no longer with us. Rest in peace, Norm. Plenty of 9/11 jokes for you in the great thereafter.
Yes, and actually, this was his final film role that was released within his lifetime.
A good one to go out on, I guess. 2019 in animation, we had stuff like The Addams Family, which I think was midly received.
Yeah, serviceable. Was no original Addams Family films in the 90s.
Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's an adaptation of the comic, I believe. Scrolling down, Dumbo by Tim Burton. That's not an animated feature film, I'm pretty sure.
Definitely not. Lots of CGI in it, but it is not an animated feature film.
Oh, this is very apt. Frozen 2, released in 2019.
Yes, and obviously Toy Story 4 did as well. Also featuring Joan Cusack, hilariously enough.
Lion King is listed here. Look, just because you use all CG doesn't make it an animated film.
Doesn't make it live action either.
It's a weird bastardization, I guess.
as with everything, the really incredible film should have won all the awards, but didn't. It did win a lot, to be fair. It got Best Animated Film at the BAFTAs.
Nice.
It got Best Animated Film, Best Character Animation in a Feature Film, Best Character Design in a Feature Film, Best Directing in a Feature Film, Best Production Design in a Feature Film, Best Storyboarding in a Feature Film, and Best Editorial in a Feature Film at the Annie Awards.
Nice. Best obliteration of a protagonist by two warring sides.
It came runner-up / tied with Frozen 2 in Best Animated Feature at the St. Louis Film Critics Association Awards.
You know, we really need to add Frozen 2 to a potential Disney Fund reboot, because I haven't seen it, and I want to see what all the hubbub's about.
Frozen 2's fun. Some fun songs.
Hearing a little bit of hesitation in your voice there, Rich.
I mean, it's a good film and it's a serviceable sequel. I think that there's just flaws that prevent it from being truly spectacular.
Ah, that's a shame.
There's Joan Cusack. You cannot mistake that voice.
Indeedy so, indeedy so. And I believe that is Will Sasso as Mr. Askel Ellingbo. How many postmasters have been sent here, and how many never came back?
Probably too many to count.
I guess if you want to communicate with your neighbour here, you just punch him in the face.
That does seem very much to be the way in which they talk here. I mean, it makes sense. It's a very nice and simple way of communicating your feelings. Not necessarily very educated or well-versed, but I mean, if it does what it needs to do, then fair enough.
I'm amazed this place even has a school that's open.
Well, I don't think it necessarily really is open. It's working as a fish store at the minute.
Yes, citation needed. Oh gosh. How do you feel about super fresh seafood, Rich?
Well, I don't really eat fish, and I particularly hate seeing dead fish. So, yeah, not for me.
So this whole sequence is basically Resident Evil for you?
It's animated, so there's a level of, being able to just go, okay, it's not that disgusting. But yeah, the fish eyes, oh, good lord, it's terrifying.
This is Rashida Jones as Alva, a teacher turned fishmonger.
When there's no children to teach, you're gonna have to do something else.
Really? Notice that she was raised by nuns there. There were no parents in that picture.
Yes. There's a lot of outcasts and community discussion going on throughout this film.
Yeah, like, we've already seen one of the main themes is communication here. I guess legacy is another. God, Norm is such a perfect pick for a guy who loves stirring shit. Beautiful.
Going to be an absolute amazing job. We're definitely going to get 6,000 letters posted within a year.
Just you watch. I really like the humour of this film. It never tries too hard.
No, it's just the right level of... It's not the ridiculous sort of meta humour that we certainly have been experiencing a lot over the past 10, 15 years. It's also not the sort of really cringe humour that's constantly trying to target the Gen Zers and all those youngsters. It's just a nice level of dropping a joke and not doing anything too crazy.
Character-driven humour. I think that's my favourite kind.
And it's very fitting that we're doing the film about the origins of Santa Claus, is effectively, you know, what Klaus is about, because I think the Santa Claus is currently hopping about round near where I live. I think it does happen elsewhere in the UK. There's a group called the Round Table, and yeah, every Christmas they tend to go around collecting money for charity, with Santa on a big van blaring out Christmas music. So if you can hear any of that on the microphone, I do apologise, but you know, it's Christmas.
And invite him into the commentary. But yeah, we're actually recording this on the 19th, so very close to Christmas. I still haven't watched as much Christmas specials as I usually would. Same thing happened on Halloween, but I was kind of sick during that period, so at least I had an excuse there. I've just been either working, sleeping, or eating, and I need to take some time for myself, I think.
Yeah, no, that is fair. I mean, there is also the massive highlight of going to see the Muppet Christmas Carol in concert.
Yeah.
Which was thoroughly delightful, and also even better because it was the version that included When Love Is Gone, because why the hell they decided to remove that is just stupid.
Because obviously, parallels with The Love We Found, yada yada yada. We'll have to do another Christmas Carol commentary at some point. But yeah, Rich and I went to Nottingham Theatre Royal and Concert Hall, saw it there. Basically, you watch the movie and a live orchestra scores it for you, which is pretty fantastic. Well, alright.
Clearly that is how they communicate here. They just find ways of brutalising each other. Also, I didn't remember quite how much nudity there was in this film.
Oh, Rich. It's okay, we're watching this near the watershed, it's fine. Why are you still here?
He doesn't need to ship out for a while, so he might as well just enjoy watching Jesper have a nightmare of a time.
This is more extortion than anything, I think, Jasper.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very cruel thing to do to a child, but I suppose he desperately needs letters, and he is still at present an arsehole, so this is totally within the realm of what he would be doing.
Yeah, this is the fun thing about Jasper. He's not a particularly upstanding moral guy for a lot of the film, but he's still entertaining, which is a very fine balance to tread when you're writing a character like this, because you can either come up with a Cusco, or insert character that doesn't work here. I'm sorry, I didn't have a counter example ready in my mind.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm trying to think of an example as well, and it's just not coming to mind. I suppose a potential example would be the Dante in the DMC reboot.
Yes, possibly.
Because he was just an arsehole and just continued to be an arsehole and wasn't particularly endearing at all, despite the fact that original Dante was very much this type of character of arsehole, but lovable arsehole.
I love wacky woohoo pizza man. Oh, Jesper. Chin up, you'll get it eventually. Why are you still here?
Wouldn't you just want to just sit and watch the rich loser just suffer through his worst nightmare, knowing it's completely deserved? I can't wait to meet him. He sounds thoroughly delightful.
He will definitely not chop my head off with a big old wood axe.
Oh, of course not.
I wonder if these mountains are CG.
I think some of them will be. They won't be on that one, obviously. That, I believe so. They'll obviously just be doing it depending on what they actually need for the specific moment. And honestly, that is the way to do this sort of animation successfully, is to only use the full 3D elements when it's absolutely required. So I do believe that Jesper's cart is 3D.
Okay.
But obviously the horse and him are not. So I think it's just picking and choosing specifically the moments that are the most suitable to get it to work.
Yeah, I gotta say, for a primarily icy and snowy-centric movie, the movie does enough to make the locations and architecture varied that it never really gets boring to watch.
Oh, definitely. And I think part of that is because, certainly for this opening section and stretch of the film, it's a type of snowy vista that we don't really see that often in Christmas films, because normally Christmas film, it's lovely, bright, fluffy snow, everything's full of colour and joy and warmth and love and laughter, and actually this is sort of frozen hellscape and everybody wants to kill each other, and there's, I'm kind of loath to say it, but there's a sort of Tim Burton aesthetic going on to the town, and we'll gradually see over the course of the film things begin to shift towards that more classical picture of Christmas, and you begin to see some of it in here with the toys that were littered about there. But I think we have our woodsman coming here.
Jesus Christ.
This very much could be a horror film at this moment in time.
Well, didn't they do a Santa film recently where the dude just goes on a killing spree?
I believe so, yes. I cannot remember for the life of me what the damn thing's called.
Now, obviously, since this place is, I want to say Scandinavian in nature, Klaus could also be read as Klaus, which is the pun of the title. And I gave myself a brain blast there, Richie. Not my business.
Oh, the poor letter with the picture.
And what's a Christmas movie without a little bit of mysticism?
It's a little bit of magic.
It's starting to get to me.
Oh, I know. I think the thing that I really do appreciate with Klaus is that it knows how long to linger on a shot.
Yes, and the use of silence is a very tricky thing to get down, because you're either too short and things become jarring, or you're too long and things become plodding.
Particularly with kids' films, and Klaus inevitably is a kids' film. Obviously, it's a family film, it's suitable for all ages, but obviously it's animated, which typically means it's for kids. Doesn't, but yes, you know what I mean. Typically, kids' films really struggle with that. They refuse to really have any moments of silence unless absolutely required. So, for this very mature take and stance in the use of silence and moments of silence is just really appreciated, and also just makes everything that much more effective.
Yeah, that much more atmospheric. You know, it's got a great tone to it, I think.
In what is a perfectly fitting performance, but also one that I don't think I necessarily would have expected. Klaus is voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Booyah, baby.
Which is amazing. He also provides the uncredited voice of the drill sarge back in the postmaster headquarters.
Obviously, you should know J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson in 2 canons of Spider-Man live-action films now. He was also Tenzin, Aang's son, in The Legend of Korra. Would you say that Klaus is kind of a mirror to Jasper's father, in terms of like a very stern, larger father figure?
I think so, in a way. Klaus sort of ends up being, yeah, like that father figure, but also the way in which Jesper is finally able to understand his own father. They are obviously 2 completely different people, but the sort of similar coldness and brusqueness, but also deep heart, deep down inside, really does just go to sort of, I think, yeah, it's what allows Jesper to have his character development, because he's forced to confront everything that he never really quite understood about his dad.
Also a parallel, you'll notice that there was no mother figure around back at the postmaster thing. She could have been at home, for all we know, but it seemed like, you know, Jesper was living there, and not to give too much away, but I don't think you'll be seeing a wife figure around in regards to Klaus.
That leads to probably one of my favourite moments in this film, but this is also really, really delightful.
The joy of opening a Christmas present on Christmas morning. Many fond memories.
And honestly, I think this is the thing that makes me most excited about the future and hopefully having niece/nephew/ my own kids.
Aww.
Of just being able to see that joy on their face when they open up something that they're not expecting, and they just get to have just that pure moment of joy and know that you're the one that gave that to them. That's just a really exciting prospect, and I really do hope that I get to experience that one day.
He was never here. Oh wait, no, he's just standing by another window, never mind. So he's already starting to display certain Santa characteristics, like being there but then gone in an instant.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you'd also be slightly terrified if, you'd been effectively kidnapped by a giant burly man. But this is just really adorable, the fact that obviously kids talk, and kids are sweet and innocent, and
they haven't inherited the prejudices of the parents at this point.
Exactly.
Thus the scam begins. Ed and Eddie would be proud. Specifically Eddie. That's a very Tim Burton character right there. I guess some of that training stuck.
Well, yeah. Part of me is watching this now and just going, there's like loads of different bits of the art style where I'm just like, oh, that's very much that film. Oh, that's very much that film. So like looking at the hands of Jesper, it just really reminds me of Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. The noses, maybe a bit, I hate to use this term, Tumblr-esque, where everything is red, but at least they're in a kind of Arctic region here, where it makes sense for the nose to be bloody red raw.
Yes, and also, obviously, part of the reason why they have done it this way is to just further that sense of depth with the face, because that is something that is really challenging to do, and it's something that obviously a lot of the classic 2D Disney films don't really succeed with, because they are effectively just flat colours, and they look beautiful, and they are beautiful, but there is just something particularly stunning about this approach to colouring and lighting, and it just works.
Last time I saw that, it was Captain Bloody America ripping a tree log in half.
Yes, rest in peace, Steve Rogers.
I love this joke, it's such a great fake out. But I think, like, all the best kids' films, and Christmas films for that matter, have a touch of edginess to them. Like, proper edginess, not like teenager going through a phase edginess. You need a little bit of that rawness to make the saccharine stuff, or saccharin, to pronounce it correctly, pop a little bit more.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of darkness without angst.
I don't know about that, or juxtaposing the saccharine nature with angst, I think. Because
yeah.
Christmas brings with it a whole heap of emotions, especially as you start to get older, and, you know, you may be celebrating it on your own.
That obviously also goes into the whole, one of my favourite quotes from any media of, what is grief if not love persevering? Which, how that was written for a bloody Marvel thing I will never know, but it's perfect.
It's so easily sneered at, but it's a great line, and it's Paul Bettany's delivery that seals it.
The lesson to learn from that is that any medium and any story and anything, no matter whether it is of the highest literary value, can have truly stunning and poignant and perfect moments and phrases. Things don't have to be the highlight of the critical world to be good. And I mean, that goes into the whole conversation of animated films, which frequently get looked down on and sneered at by the film community, mostly the sort of, like, the academy and sort of, like, the industry at large, of they just perceive animated films as not being worth the same as live action stuff, and it's just not true. It's just rubbish.
Yeah.
And the amount of artistry and creativity and brilliance that goes into so many animated films, I would say, are worth 10 of many, many live action films.
Oof. Bold statement there, Rich.
It is bold, but then equally, there's a lot of crap out there. Particularly Christmas films.
I don't want to shit on Hallmark and whatnot, but they make the same films every year, essentially.
Basically, yes. Tradition. Wonderful thing that's also completely awful, depending on what the tradition actually is.
It's both a good and a bad thing, because I think forgetting the past only allows you to make more mistakes, in the future. But also, you can't let tradition stand in the way of making that future to begin with.
Exactly, and there's a whole thing of, if traditions harm you and other people, are they really worth having just because they're traditions?
That's your philosophical statement / homework for the commentary.
There'll probably be a few more as we go, but you know, that's just what happens when you bring me onto any sort of commentary. I like to go into those places.
For sure. Like I said, one of the themes is legacy, so that ties into this whole thing.
You know, part of me just... obviously, it's not how it works, but part of me just wants to imagine them having J.K. Simmons in the voice booth for those moments and just going, could you just, you know, do a sound like you're staring?
Okay, that was a great silent take. We're going to need another. Meanwhile, Jason's in the other booth just screaming for his life. Oh, man.
It's got quite a way to go.
Are there even 6,000 people living here? They'd each have to send off, like, 3 or 4 letters.
Yes, they would. But, I mean, if you look at the size of the town, there's probably a good couple of hundred in here. And when you've got to consider that they could theoretically send letters outside of the town as well. You can sort of expand that, but obviously when you've got to try and get the damn people to start sending letters, you're kind of going to have to start off slow and grow exponentially.
I think there's a bit of a flaw in your logic there, Rich, because this place seems very insular.
I mean, it is, and that is part of the problem, but you never know.
Yeah.
People might start to explore outside. Perfect case here with this young, adorable girl.
Now, I forget, is it the Sami culture she's a part of?
Sami are Finno-Ugric-speaking people that inhabit the region of Sapmi, which is formerly known as Lapland, which encompasses large northern parts of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and of the Murmansk Oblast, Russia, which most of the Kola Peninsula in particular. Obviously, in English, they have historically been known as Laps or Laplanders, but that is, rather offensive because it's not their name or their culture. So what you should be calling them is Sami, because that is their culture.
Short and sweet. She has a very Megara vibe to her at this point in the film.
I think basically all of the characters
for sure.
in Klaus is everyone has got this exterior and facade that they put up to the world of trying to say this is who I am, which is totally not who they are, and they're only doing it because they're either trying to protect themselves or they are trying to push people away or trying to get through. The whole thing of the film is breaking down those facades because a lot of them are just people trying to get through the day, and it's not really who they are, and actually they're really nice and lovely people.
Communication
Would really help if people actually communicated, but it happens in classic animated films, it happens in grand Greek tragedies, and it's also the hallmark of every terrible business decision, almost, of just terrible communications.
And this is where the Christmas myth of getting coal in your stockings if you've been a bad boy kind of started, I guess, at least in the world of Klaus.
Yes, and I think it's really clever because obviously there have been many tellings of the origins of Santa, but I think that this does work really well because it's in the right region of the world.
And it's mundane made magical, or magic made mundane, I guess, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, and it makes it's unique. And that's just sort of what works so well about it. What I will say is that, actually, hilariously, is that Klaus came out the same year that Noel did on Disney+. Not an animated film, it's a live-action Christmas film with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader in, I believe, which was also a surprisingly delightful Christmas film. I wouldn't say it was necessarily... Well, it was not as good as Klaus, but still thoroughly delightful. I was definitely winning that Christmas, although I don't know whether we got it till the Christmas after. But also in the vein of surprise Christmas delights, obviously Netflix went and helpfully did the distributing for Klaus, but they also did the Christmas Chronicles, which I was going in expecting a kind of cheesy crap kids Christmas film, and what I got was another thoroughly delightful family-friendly Christmas film, and it was just like, How are you doing so well at this, Netflix? Like, I was not expecting this level of quality.
It's that sort of thing that kind of keeps me going, where stuff beats the odds. You think it's going to be crap, it presents kind of crappily, but ends up being not only good, but great.
Yeah, and I think those are sometimes the best films and stories are the ones that you don't expect to do well. Oh, that shit-eating grin. Love it.
Not quite the reindeer from Frozen.
No, also not quite the level of reindeer wrangling as Kristoff is able to do in Frozen. I do love the slapstick in this film. It's just the right level.
I'm looking out for one with a red nose, I'm not seeing it.
To be honest, I don't think Rudolph actually entered the Christmas zeitgeist until pretty late in the grand scheme of things. I mean, obviously, Santa's red coat is a very, very late addition. Because Santa's red coat is all thanks to Coca-Cola.
Wasn't it green originally?
Yeah, it's originally green, and it was only through Coca-Cola that it became red.
I mean, it looks good on the man. Yeah.
Now, actually, yeah, so Rudolph was created by Robert L. May in 1939. So, Rudolph in the Christmas tradition isn't even 100 at the point where we are doing this, which is insane when you think about it, actually, because it is such an integral part of what we imagine of Santa and his reindeer, but it's really not that old.
There are some fairly anachronistic parts in this film, and they are a little bit divisive. There's also a plot beat, which a lot of people have discussed at length. This is the anachronistic bit I was talking about. Give it a set to kick in. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm not cringing.
I'm cringing, but also it's the perfect amount of cringe because it's very much that whole thing of someone trying so hard to be cool and edgy.
Yeah, I guess.
And really not achieving it for 90% of people, but it is having an effect on the people that matter. And that's why it works.
So now the children are starting to take the coal mythos at face value and be good all the year round.
This is the type of thing that really does work. If you bribe children, then they tend to be good.
Well, when you put it that way, it seems a bit cynical. But at the same time, is it such a bad thing that children have a reason to be good? Because, let's be honest, they're chaotic little shits most of the time.
Partly you look at human nature, and obviously you look at how adults are, and they're awful. So if you give people a reason to be good, then they're more likely to be good. And then if they are good, does it necessarily matter the reason why they're being good?
I mean, there is that line in the classic song, "Be good, for goodness sake."
Exactly. Ah.
Jesus Christ.
I know. I do love that just watching all of the adults just looks of disbelief and confusion of I don't know what the hell is going on, but I kind of love this.
Yeah. That's right, get fucked. Yeah, buddy. I'm starting to feel the Christmas cheer well up, Rich.
I know. And it's just great because obviously this is sort of where all the colour starts to come back into the world of the film. It is a really good use of montage. And also obviously of colour theory and all that jazz. It works. And when it works, you have to appreciate it.
Smart word, good film.
So funny.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
So true, but only if you're not cynical, I think.
Honestly, I wish that we were all a little bit less cynical.
Jesper, at this point in the film, is definitely cynical. I guess mostly because he's put upon at this point. He's doing stuff to just try and get his cushy life back.
Yes. But also, it is great when you can have that cynicism challenged.
And ironically, he's the one doing most of the work for Klaus. Like, Klaus is doing the heavy lifting, sure, but most of the ideas come from Jesper, a cynic. That's a very Emperor's New Groove moment.
It really is, and to be honest, that there is a lot of the Emperor's New Groove about this film of skinny arsehole matched with calm, collected, surprisingly nice, larger gentleman, and the two create a perfect duo to bring harmony to the world.
Here's that magical maid mundane.
Also, I've just spotted. If you looked on the chest there, it had the A113, which appears in basically every Disney and Pixar film because it's the I think it's the classroom where pretty much most of the animators learnt their craft.
Another part of the mythos just thrown in there.
A guffaw, so to speak.
He's running a bit low at this point. You both love it.
It's a very common story thing of people going and doing something that they don't want to do, and then secretly realising, oh yes, I do actually love it. It is kind of wonderful, and I love the feeling that it gives me.
There's also the friendship aspect of Jesper and Klaus that's gone unsaid at this point.
Still an arsehole.
So Christmas is established at this point. That's interesting, but I guess it was a pagan holiday to begin with.
Obviously, Christmas is a Christian holiday, because obviously Christmas. But the pagan tradition certainly was there, although I believe it was mostly around the winter solstice.
Right.
Primarily is where that sort of came in. But yeah, there's lots of traditions around that time of year, but effectively what ended up happening is that the Christianity version of Christmas and the pagan holiday effectively sort of merged into one. The same effectively has kind of happened with Easter, to be honest.
So Christmas is still a thing, but we're pre-Santa at this point.
Effectively, yes. Wanted to see what you think about this, Tom. I love Jane Cusack. I think she's got an amazing voice, and I think she does a great job in this role. But I don't think that her voice sounds right for that character.
You don't think it's matching well enough?
No, I think I sort of want slightly older, more gravelly, old lady type voice coming out of that character's mouth.
Jesus. I sort of get what you mean, but at the same time I think it's there to juxtapose her being really old, but still having that fire of youth, because she's so stubborn.
Yeah, no, I get that. And yeah, as I said, it is no disrespect to Jane Cusack, and I think she does an amazing job. It's one of those things that sometimes you look at a character and you just go, I did not imagine that voice coming out of that mouth. And I mean, that happens with people in reality as well, so it's not an unknown thing to happen.
I've gotten that before. That's both really sad and funny at the same time.
PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, he's not going to be happy about that.
I mean, not wrong, but also, sometimes people, when they say no, they mean no. I mean, sometimes when they say no, they do mean, I really want to say yes, but I can't say yes. But it's kind of impossible to tell most of the time.
And Jesper is doing it for his own benefit.
Exactly. And then he oversteps the mark.
And that's why you hire J.K. Simmons. The man can do soul. The man can do loud as well. So this is Margot. Let's see if I can find a voice actor for her. Neda Margaret Laber, according to Behind the Voice Actors.
My guess, although obviously I have no actual idea, is that they probably went and found a young Sammy girl to do the voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's got no other credits here, so that makes sense.
And honestly, I love that. I also love the fact that they don't subtitle any of Margot's lines. And it's something that, obviously, films have the option of putting subtitles in for things. A lot of times I do wish that they would, because that way it doesn't matter what language you're speaking, you're able to understand what is being said at all times, and that is good from an accessibility standpoint. However, from a storytelling perspective, sometimes the whole point is that you need to see and listen to someone speaking a completely different language and not understand what that means, to understand how you cross communication boundaries without being able to speak at the same time and in the same way. You can find a way to communicate with anybody. It just takes a bit of work.
I think I very nearly cried at this point in the film.
Can't remember whether I cried at this moment. I definitely cried at the film. I mean, I will say there's not often I don't cry at a good film these days. But my moment was certainly a little bit later on down the line. I'm sure you probably know the moment with Klaus.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a really, really lovely moment. And also a really lovely song as well.
It's beautiful. The hair on my arms is standing on end.
Yeah, so this song, I believe, is Invisible by Zara Larsson.
The studio version is superior to the one in the end credits, I think.
I mean, it is often the way. The only exception, and it surprises me to say this, is Love Power in Disenchanted.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, I would strongly say that the end credits version is vastly superior to the one that's in the actual film.
Yeah, the film version is probably a better way to describe it. Communication through work here. Show effort. There they are. But yeah, the song is like, the greatest gifts we give are invisible, and I think that is a great lesson to take away, because even if it's something as little as being there for someone when they have no one, or that they need someone, can go a lot further than giving them an iPod, etc., I think.
That's why, generally, what obviously a lot of parents try to instill in their kids, although not necessarily successfully, is that the spirit of Christmas is giving. It's not about the receiving that's wonderful, it's about the giving and the seeing the joy from giving, and that's great. Kill me for saying that another Disney comparison, but for some reason I'm getting massive Treasure Planet vibes right now.
With the Solar Sailor and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, slowly getting there. Honest question. Like, come on, seriously. Jasper wouldn't say anything like this towards the start of the movie. He was too self-centric, I think. Yeah, about that. Now, Mrs. Klaus is part of a lot of the Santa Claus mythos, but I don't think I've ever heard this take on it before.
Neither have I. I really like this version. Part of it, not great, wife dies to give husband something to mope about, and character development, not great. But
Whatever, it is what it is. I'm not going to judge it.
yeah, but it is a very effective way of giving him depth and stuff. And obviously you've got this whole sort of spiritual thing with still feeling her there, and it's really beautiful and really sad.
I think what ties the whole thing together and makes it work better than other, spouse dies to give surviving spouse stuff to do, is that they really wanted children, and even after all that, he still likes bringing joy to children. He hasn't lost that spark.
Can't believe I'm doing it again, another Pixar Disney comparison, but it's very much Carl and Ellie from Up.
Sort of, yeah.
Very much that vibe, and honestly, Klaus goes on a similar arc to Carl, though obviously not quite the same, and certainly, sort of in a similar way, of accosted by annoying small person that doesn't shut up, until he finally caves in and starts growing again. Yeah, it's very effective. Learning. What is this?
Ew. I do like the sort of thing of it being like about a fish, that song, and also there's like using fish to learn how to count on the blackboard.
It works, and if you put things in terms that people understand, then they're more likely to learn the concepts.
More that like she's using what she learned as a fishmonger to propel kids forward in education. That's what I found funny.
Well, that too. It's both funny and also educational.
It makes you think. Oh wow.
Oh yeah, that's your classic Christmas movie vibe.
We just finished setting up our tree today. It's all red lights and a star at the top for a change.
Ah.
Hello. The beginning of another tradition. The elves who help Santa. Which is a really smart way to do it, I think, tying them into the whole Sami culture.
Certainly the best way I think that they could have gone about it, because obviously it is an element of the Santa story that these days doesn't necessarily hold up quite so well with our modern sensibilities, but
It's magical elves, Rich. Like, they're not trying to make it out to be the Sami people are just very short.
oh no, I know that, but just sort of the whole elf thing in general is, yeah, but that's besides the point. Yes.
Wouldn't be the worst. I mean, you've developed friendships here. There's sort of a budding romance going on, which is, I guess it's a divisive part of the film, but I like it, so fuck off.
I mean, honestly, anybody who thinks that the romance element of this doesn't work is not really getting the whole point of the story.
You ain't feeling the vibes, man.
Obviously, you sort of go into it and you kind of go to, oh, well, of course they're going to fall in love. Actually, the way that it works in terms of the story is neither of them go looking for that or go after each other.
Yeah.
To make it happen, which is what you mostly see in rom-coms. Of it's always one party going after the other to seek love and develop love, but actually it's more just they are sort of they grow closer together just by naturally seeing each other,
Yeah.
and it's through that then love blossoms. And I think that is the other thing with Klaus, is that even though it is this heightened animated world, it is just very grounded in its approaches to relationships.
Yes,
and
yes.
as you said, it's that whole magical made mundane, mundane made magical type approach. And yeah, it's the same with the relationships. And I think that is really what goes in its favour, because it brings that added realism and warmth to everything that it touches.
Here's their plan. Get him out by fluffing the numbers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The liar revealed is something that a lot of, I guess, reviewers these days don't really care for, and I completely understand that. If the rest of the movie wasn't as good, I think I would regard this as a much lesser part of the movie. But because the rest of the movie is so good, I'm willing to put up with parts that don't click perfectly well.
And also, I think this is probably one of the much more successful liar revealed sequences, because obviously, as we've seen over the course of the film, it's only really the first kind of 40 minutes or so, maybe, of really going after his goal because he's after wanting to go back home. But it actually, very quickly, you see that he goes into, I'm enjoying this, I'm doing this because I like the feeling that it gives me, and he's just sort of counting up because he knows that that's what he's been doing and that's what he should do. It's also, it's not like he's lied to everybody, if really. He's not told them why he was doing it, but he never told people a mistruth around it. And I think that is why it works, is because obviously they're hurt, but also he's hurt because actually he hasn't really lied. And it's more just he was being a bit of a dick, and he just needs to, go and make things right.
He got it over his head, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, that can easily happen. And obviously, it's a common thing. Sometimes you get started on something for the wrong reasons, and then you start doing it for the right reasons, and then it's the whole question of, if the end result is good, was starting it for the wrong reason a bad thing when the end result was good and you actually began to do it for the right reasons?
Yeah, exactly, right. Oh, a little bit too late there. And thus, the character arc is complete. He gave up all that stuff back home because he had found something so much richer here.
It kind of feels like this is the arc that Cusco should have had in Emperor's New Groove, rather than being able to, retain his wealth and kingdom. But separate film, different characters. I think that it's more cliche, I suppose, in a way, but it hits a lot harder, and I think it works a lot better.
Christmas films are allowed to have a little bit of cliche. They're cliche by nature. It is really cool that Jasper was finally able to look his dad in the eye and speak man to man, though.
Oh, yeah.
Just all a part of his friendship with Klaus making that possible. Another philosophical question for the ages. How did he know that bag would be there?
Yeah, and also, how did he make it up back to here that quickly? But it doesn't really matter.
Oh man, this really is one of my favourite Christmas movies, I gotta say. While antics are happening, Rich, do you have a small, concise list of some of your favourite Christmas films?
Oh gosh. Well, definitely Muppet Christmas Carol.
Exactly.
Definitely this on the list now. Die Hard, definitely also on the list. That is a classic.
You cheeky bugger, yeah.
Elf, also absolutely fantastic.
Yep, for sure.
Always have very fond memories of the Santa Claus. I'm trying to remember any others. Christmas Chronicles, definitely up there. Not that I expected it, but it's definitely up there. Can't think of anything else at the minute. You?
Home Alone, perchance?
Oh, yes, Home Alone, of course. Another absolute classic.
Haven't watched it once. My mum's watched it twice, apparently.
You need to watch it. It's brilliant.
That's not in general, that's just this Christmas.
I mean, good, because otherwise I would have been like, slightly judgy, but, you know.
I do like Once Upon a Christmas and I think Twice Upon a Christmas, the Mickey Mouse stuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's fair.
Mickey's Christmas Carol, which is really fun to watch on, like, Christmas morning. It's only, like, 30 minutes long. Then, obviously, you have individual specials from, like, old cartoons like Hey Arnold and so on.
Mm-hmm.
All there on the list. Helga's Christmas. Or, no, Arnold's Christmas, but Helga's a big part of it. No reindeer this time. How the boys got to get out of this one?
That's gotta hurt. Thank God we're in cartoon land.
Really? Come on, Grinch strength, let me pick up this sleigh! That's another one, the live-action Grinch movie, and the animated one.
Are you talking the original animated one or the more recent one with Benedict Cumberbatch as the voice of the Grinch?
You know damn well which one I am referring to.
Oh yeah, the snowman, of course.
Damn you! This is just pollution. Is that part of your plan to make everything shitty again? Obviously, this is a hyper-exaggerated form of prejudice, but it all goes back to the central theme of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I said that. Oh no. We're expecting this, were you?
No, they were not. Also, slightly terrified at the thought of their babies, but that's not part of this film, so it's all right.
In fair Verona, etc. Hopefully without any poison and stabbing this time.
Yes, because you do not want star-crossed lovers. Romeo and Juliet is not a romantic film, for the love of God.
No, it's not, no.
Well, romantic play, but you know what I mean.
He bamboozled them. Oh, a classic Santa prank.
Oh.
Redemption arc complete. It's the choices we make. He chose to come back. He chose to fight for those present.
And it showed just what a good guy he has become.
How early are you down on Christmas morning, Whit?
Oh gosh. I mean, previously it usually always was about 7 o'clock that we'd go down, start opening the presents, and then have breakfast. Now I don't have a choice. I have a dog that wakes me up at 7. So even if I wanted to lie, which these days I would prefer, I don't have a choice. I must be up at 7 o'clock because that's breakfast time.
I have a dog and I must wake. Oh, that poor Hans. Why are you here? Go away. Here's where things get a little bit misty for me.
And this is the part where I start to tear up. This one bit especially.
I gotta say, I didn't expect it.
I think it was the unexpected nature of it, and how beautiful it is, and how poignant. And even as I'm blabbering over this, there's tears in my eyes, and it's just beautiful.
And he just goes. He's not sad about it. He doesn't hesitate. He just knows his time's come. And maybe he just walked into myth after all. It's the fact it's so sudden as well.
And once again, the fact that you had that swell of beautiful music, and then just the calm, and the still, and the silence.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he did. Oh boy. If the rest of the movie was great, this ending sequence is perfect. Now, I would ask that we just kind of watch and let this sink in, mate, because it is really done a disservice by us wobbling over it.
And that is fine by me.
If it weren't for the fact I was doing commentary right now, I would be bawling like a little bitch.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure I'm doing that for the both of us right now.
So that was Klaus. What a wonderful film.
Easily, and such a surprise, because I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I don't think anybody did, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it just shot right up there to the top of favourite Christmas films, because it's so wonderfully done. It's so beautifully animated, so interestingly animated, but also it's just such a lovely approach to the Santa origin story, but it's grounded and emotional and silly and fun, but so effective. And and it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, and also gives you exactly the message of Christmas. And I think that's what makes it work, and that's why I do love it so much. It's wonderful.
It gives you exactly what you want from a Christmas film. It's, like Richie said, it can be silly, it can be poignant, it has a lot of good, positive messages in there about communication, legacy, friendship, stuff like that. And it doesn't quite reach the heights of Muppets Christmas Carol for me, but it's definitely getting close to it, and that is one of the biggest compliments I can pay to the film. But, what do you guys think of Klaus? Let us know in the comments. I think Richie needs a break, and I need to go refill my tea, and maybe have a bit of a cry off screen. So, I've been Tom64.
And I've been Richie.
Thank you for watching our commentary on Klaus, and we'll see you possibly in the new year for some new movie comms. Goodbye for now.
See ya.